hold on to your seats, because what I'm about to share with you is sending shockwaves through Capitol Hill. Breaking news that's going to affect millions of Americans' bank accounts this July. We're talking about a massive $5,900 stimulus payment that's already been confirmed, and it's heading straight to Direct Express cards and bank accounts across the nation. But here's the catch, not everyone's getting this money. And the timing? Well, that depends on your bank and your specific situation. I've spent the last 48 hours digging through the legislation, talking to insiders, and what I've uncovered is going to change everything for many of you watching right now. Before we dive deep into this game-changing development, I need you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's start with what's making this July stimulus package so unprecedented. For the first time, Congress has structured this payment to specifically target Americans who've been hit hardest by recent economic challenges. I'm talking about seniors on fixed incomes, working families struggling with inflation, and those who've seen their savings dwindle over the past year. The $5,900 payment isn't just a one-time deal, there's a monthly increase component that's going to change the game for millions of Americans. Now, I know what you're thinking, you've heard stimulus promises before, but this time, it's different. I've got the actual documentation right here from Capitol Hill, and I'm going to break down exactly who qualifies, which banks are processing these payments first, and why some seniors might unfortunately miss out if they don't take specific actions right now. Let's talk about qualification criteria first. The lawmakers behind this initiative have created what they're calling a targeted relief approach. This means they're looking at multiple factors to determine eligibility. It's not just about your income anymore, they're considering your age, household size, and even your location because living costs vary significantly across the country. What's really interesting is how they've structured the income thresholds this time around. For individuals, if you're making less than $75,000 annually, you're in the sweet spot for the full payment. But here's something many people don't know, there's a sliding scale up to $95,000 where you can still get a partial payment. For married couples filing jointly, those numbers jump to $150,000 for the full amount and $190,000 for partial payments. But what's really groundbreaking is the additional consideration for seniors and those on fixed incomes. The legislation includes what they're calling an economic impact adjustment for anyone over 65 who's receiving Social Security benefits. This is huge because it means many seniors who might have been excluded from previous stimulus payments could now qualify for this one. And if you're receiving Social Security benefits along with other government assistance, you might actually be eligible for an enhanced payment. Now, let's talk about the banking situation, because this is where things get really interesting. Different banks are handling these payments in different ways, and knowing which banks are moving faster could mean getting your money weeks earlier than others. Based on the information we've received, certain major banks have already started preparing their systems for these incoming payments. Direct Express cardholders, you're actually in a really good position here. The Treasury has designated Direct Express as a priority payment method, which means you could be among the first to receive your funds. But here's something crucial. Make sure your Direct Express account information is up to date. Any discrepancies could delay your payment or, worse, cause it to be returned to the Treasury. For those with traditional bank accounts, we're seeing a pattern similar to previous stimulus rollouts, but with some key differences. Banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America are expected to process payments within the first wave. However, smaller regional banks and credit unions might take a bit longer. The good news is that many of these institutions are setting up special processing systems to handle these payments more efficiently than in previous rounds. Something that's particularly important to note is the monthly increase component of this stimulus package. This isn't just a one-time payment. For qualifying individuals, there's going to be a monthly supplement that continues through the end of the year. The amount varies based on your circumstances, but it's designed to provide ongoing support rather than just a single cash injection. Let's talk about the actual payment schedule, because this is crucial information that could affect your financial planning. The Treasury Department has outlined a staggered release schedule based on several factors. First up are Direct Express cardholders and those who have their tax refunds directly deposited into their bank accounts. These payments are scheduled to begin hitting accounts in the first week of July. For those receiving paper checks, the timeline extends a bit longer, potentially up to 3 weeks after the initial direct deposits begin. But here's something important. if you haven't filed your taxes recently or if the IRS doesn't have your current banking information, you might face delays. This is particularly relevant for seniors who haven't had to file taxes due to their income level. Speaking of seniors, let's address why some might miss out on this payment. Because this is crucial information that needs to be shared. The biggest risk factor is outdated information. If you've moved recently, changed banks, or haven't updated your information with the Social Security Administration, you could face delays or even miss the payment entirely. Some seniors might also miss out if they're considered dependents on someone else's tax return, even if they receive their own Social Security benefits. There's also a specific group of seniors who might need to take additional steps to secure their payment. If you started receiving Social Security benefits after January 2024, or if you haven't received previous stimulus payments, you might need to file additional paperwork. The good news is that there's a simple process to ensure you're in the system, and I'll explain exactly what you need to do. Now, let's discuss the monthly increase component in more detail, because this is where things get really interesting for long-term financial planning. The monthly supplements are designed to adjust based on cost of living changes, which means the amount could actually increase if inflation continues to rise. This is particularly significant for seniors and others on fixed incomes who've been hit hard by rising prices. The monthly payments are structured on a sliding scale, with base amounts starting at $250 for individuals and $500 for families. But here's where it gets interesting: there are additional supplements based on factors like age, disability status, and whether you're caring for dependents. Some recipients could see their monthly supplements reach up to $1,000, depending on their circumstances. One aspect that's particularly noteworthy is how this stimulus package interacts with other benefits. Unlike some previous payments, this stimulus won't count as income for determining eligibility for other federal or state assistance programs. This means you won't have to worry about losing other benefits because of this payment, which was a major concern for many recipients of previous stimulus funds. Let's talk about the verification process, because this is crucial for ensuring you actually receive your payment. The IRS and Social Security Administration are working together to cross-reference beneficiary information, but there are still steps you might need to take. If you've moved in the last 2 years, changed banks, or had any major life changes, you'll want to make sure your information is up to date in the system. For Direct Express cardholders, the process is relatively straightforward. The system will automatically use the information associated with your card. However, if you've recently received a new card or had any changes to your account, you'll want to verify that everything is correct through the Direct Express website or by calling their customer service. Traditional bank account holders might need to take additional steps, especially if you've switched banks since your last tax return or stimulus payment. The IRS has reopened their stimulus payment portal, which allows you to update your banking information and check the status of your payment. This is particularly important for ensuring you receive the payment as quickly as possible. Now, let's address some common questions and concerns that have been coming up about this stimulus package. One of the biggest concerns is about taxation. Will these payments be taxed? The answer is no. These payments are not considered taxable income at the federal level. However, some states might have different regulations, so it's worth checking your state-specific guidelines. Another common question is about garnishment. Unlike some previous stimulus payments, these funds have stronger protections against garnishment for private debts. However, they can still be garnished for certain types of government debts, including back taxes and child support payments. If you're concerned about garnishment, there are specific steps you can take to protect your payment. Let's talk about the timing of these payments in relation to other government benefits, because this is important for financial planning. If you receive Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or other federal benefits, your stimulus payment will be separate from your regular benefits. This means you won't have to worry about your regular payment schedule being disrupted. For those who receive multiple types of benefits, the good news is that this stimulus payment won't affect your other benefit amounts. This was a major concern during previous stimulus rounds, but the legislation specifically addresses this issue to ensure that recipients don't face any reduction in their regular benefits. Now, let's discuss what this means for different age groups, because the impact varies significantly. For seniors over 65, this package includes specific provisions that make it particularly beneficial. The monthly supplement is adjusted based on age, with those over 75 receiving an additional amount to help offset higher healthcare costs. For working-age adults, the qualification criteria are slightly different but still generous. The focus here is on providing support for those who've been affected by recent economic challenges, particularly in sectors that have seen significant changes in the past year. Families with children have additional considerations to keep in mind. The package includes enhanced payments for households with dependents, and there's a special provision for single parents. This is particularly significant because it acknowledges the additional financial challenges faced by single-parent households. Let's talk about the documentation you might need to have ready, because being prepared can help avoid delays. While much of the process is automated, having certain documents easily accessible can help if any questions or issues arise. This includes your most recent tax return, Social Security benefit statements, and any correspondence you've received about previous stimulus payments. For those who need to update their information, the process has been streamlined compared to previous stimulus rounds. The government has created a unified portal where you can check your eligibility, update your information, and track your payment. This is a significant improvement over the multiple systems that were used in previous rounds. Now, let's address some of the less obvious aspects of this stimulus package that could affect your financial planning. For example, there are provisions for people who've experienced significant life changes in the past year, such as marriage, divorce, or the birth of a child. These changes could affect your eligibility or payment amount. The legislation also includes specific provisions for people who've moved between states or changed their filing status. This is particularly relevant given the increased mobility we've seen in recent years, with many people relocating for work or family reasons. Looking ahead, it's important to understand how this stimulus package fits into broader economic support measures. While this is a significant immediate boost, there are also longer-term implications to consider. The monthly supplement component, in particular, represents a shift in how economic support is being structured. As we wrap up this detailed overview, let's talk about what actions you should take right now to ensure you don't miss out on these payments. First, verify your information is current with both the IRS and Social Security Administration if applicable. Second, check your bank account or Direct Express card information to ensure it's accurate. And finally, keep an eye on your accounts in early July when the first wave of payments is scheduled to begin. Remember, this information is current as of today, but these situations can evolve quickly. That's why it's crucial to stay informed and be ready to act if any new requirements or opportunities arise. Keep checking back for updates, as I'll be covering any changes or new developments as they happen. That's everything you need to know about the upcoming $5,900 stimulus payment and monthly increases. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Drop a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them in future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.